Hi, and welcome back. My name is Freems, and I play eveonline since 2017. I will show you the settings menu and explain a couple of important things which you maybe want to change, or some of them which you definitely need to change before starting to play. In the next video, I will go over how you best set up your GUI or HUD, or I mean with that, the windows that you want to put in a specific position for the ideal gameplay. Oh yeah, before I forget, please go ahead and press that like and subscribe button. You would do me a big favor. Okay, don't let's waste any time and let's get started. There are two ways to go into the menu, in the settings menu. And first of all, you can click here on the Neocom menu and then click on the settings icon and it will open the settings menu. Another way to do it is just by pressing the escape button on your keyboard. It will open it right away. Okay, the first part is about the display and graphics. You will see here that I'm playing in window mode. When you open your settings, it will be in full screen mode. Your entire screen will be filled. The reason why I'm playing in window mode and with a specific resolution, 1920 by 1080, is because I have an ultra wide screen as main monitor, and it makes it just hard to stream in a good resolution and or even record videos. It will just mess up the scenery. Therefore, I'm playing in windowed mode. Of course, you can play with these and see what suits best for you. The UI scaling, I have it set on 90%. By default, I think it's enabled on 125%. This will make the windows and the font, the text, the actual text, a little bit bigger or smaller. So change this depending on your own favorite size. Why I'm using 90% is because then I can fit more smaller windows in one fitting. I will explain later. The preset interval, I didn't touch it. My graphics card is listed here. I have the RTX 3060. I have two of them inside. Of course, it's possible you can mix graphics cards. You can have a 3060 and a 3090 next to each other. Here you can choose which graphics card you want to use for your game. Usually leaving it on default is the best. The camera settings, I didn't change them, but you can play with it. Here, those two things are checked, but I actually like to uncheck them. Camera shake and camera bobbing, it makes the screen just sometimes go too blurry, or so I like to turn it off. All the rest I keep on default. The middle pane, everything which is here checked, I leave it checked. And depending on your graphics card, here you can select that you want to have low quality characters and maybe low quality of textures. But if you have, let's say, from an RTX, what was my previous card, a 1660 GTX, I already set it to high. So if you have a graphics card which is somehow same as I have, you can set this to high without any issues. A side note, with everything on high in eveonline and even these reflections on highest, because high is the maximum you can choose for these graphics content settings, except for reflections. With everything on the highest setting, I still have about between 100 and 150 FPS, depending on how much items are in the neighborhood while flying. So that's really okay. If you are not sure what to set, click the optimize settings, and the game will try to read out your graphics card and choose the best suitable settings for that card. Don't forget, if you change one of those graphic settings, to hit the apply buttons. This apply button is only for this pane. This apply button is only for this pane. So you have, if you change something in both panes, make sure you click both applies or it will not be applied. Next tab is the chat settings. There's nothing much to set. I leave these on default. Audio. There are a couple of things you can change here. If you don't like very loud weapon sounds, you can enable this one. The weapon sounds will be less loud, but I like nice explosions, etc. So for me, that's okay. Also, sometimes it's handy to hear while you're in game, and maybe you alt tab to Google to look something up. You immediately hear that you're being attacked. So I leave this on default. Here, to use combat music, that means that the music will change whenever you are in a combat. Otherwise, you will hear nice ambient music. The music level, if you don't like to hear the in-game music, and most likely, in most cases, I'm disabling it because I play my own music in the background. I set this to 0. The UI sound, it's the sounds like I'm going to shut up right now. You hear that? Those are the UI sounds. I leave it default. Speech, I leave it also default. And the world level, it's the background. Sometimes it's annoying because you hear some weird noises, but actually I almost keep it on default. General settings. So I discussed in the first the UI scaling that I set it to 90%. If you want to fit a lot of windows, you can put it on 90% as well. But if you feel that the font is a little bit too small to read the mission objectives, etc., then you can here put it a little bit larger, and then you will see. Let me see. Okay, the game restarted. Okay, the font will be larger. I'm going to keep it on medium. For me, that's okay. And do we need to change anything here? No. I always leave these things on default. Here, dueling. You're able to duel to invite someone to duel you. Then you will go PvP. Now, I'm a PvEer, I'm not really a PvPer. So what I always do is I enable this so that nobody can duel me. Of course, whenever you want to do that, you can just disable it again. But with enabling this, you will not receive any messages from people trying to duel you. Remember, if you don't enable this and you click the accept button of the duel invitation by mistake, and your ship isn't ready to do a PvP battle, you will die for sure in just a couple of seconds. So be aware. Here you can also choose to enable the classic star map, but let's be honest, the classic star map is from a decade ago. I really like the new one, so I keep this disabled. There are a couple of my friends that are still using the classic map because they like it more. I like the new one, so I keep this disabled. You can just enable it and disable it to check what's the difference, and I will leave it up to you to decide if you want to use the new or the classic star map. The Windows appearance, I do not touch it. You could choose a color manually, or you can enable this, and then depending on the type of ship that you're flying, it will choose a color from this list. But I just keep the default window. It's for me, that's fine. If you have some color blindness, you can also use here two presets, or customize your own view. Maybe I can quickly show that. Yeah, so you can see or choose what colors you best see. Here you can customize everything yourself. I'll leave it turned off. I'm going to skip for now the shortcuts. I will come back on this in a few. Here, this is an interesting tab, the feature previews. So what CCP is doing, they are constantly innovating and trying new themes or new setups. And right now, they have something called the Photon UI. They made some improvements. Here you can just test it by to enable it and disable it. Just be careful if you're using some filters that you set up yourself. It's possible that those filters are gone. So that means that you will need to redo those filters. If I find time, I will make a separate video on this. Reset settings. This is could be very handy, especially this one here. Clear all cache files. Clear cache files. When do you need it? Whenever you see in the game that you have some delays, and I mean when you target an enemy, or when you want to warp and you feel there's some delay, you feel that you have some lag or frame drops, it's always good to quickly clear the cache files. And when you click the clear all cache files, you need to restart the game. I'm not going to do that right now, but it's always good to do this once in a while, especially when you think something is not going smooth as usual. Go to your settings, reset settings, and clear the cache files. Whenever you messed up with settings or with window views, etc., if you clear all settings, it's kind of a reset to factory settings, reset to default. You can click here. If you messed up in the general tab here with the colors and you don't know what exactly happened, you can go here and do the reset default colors. If you think some of the windows are messed up, have messed up positions, or you cannot find a window, you can click here on reset window positions, and they will all turn to their default location. In the language tab, if you want, you can choose another language. I will keep mine on English. And in the last one, there is some general information about E. Now, let's go quickly back to this shortcuts window. Here, I can only say go through all those shortcuts and try to memorize as much as possible from them, of them. Now, the most important window that you need to memorize is the combat one. And second of all, in my opinion, the drones one and maybe the fighter one. Now, the fighter one, there are no shortcuts presetted, so you can choose yourself. Now, for the combat, there are. So, what are important ones? In my opinion, is the align 2, the approach, the directional scan, the docking jump and activate gate, the keep at range for sure, then the orbit, refresh probe scan, down, the tracking one, the unlock target or lock target. I use I set it to do it with control button, control and not control shift, but these are the defaults, and the warp 2. In the drones, you should memorize the engage, the return to drone bay, and the launch drones. Try to memorize those, you will need them a lot. Depending, of course, on what type of mission you're doing. But please go ahead, look at all these small tabs and try to memorize. Maybe I'm repeating myself, but you will definitely need them. Okay, after you have done all your settings and you're satisfied, or you want to go test some of those settings, just hit the button return to game, and you're now live with those new settings that you have chosen. So this is the end of part 2 of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you found this very helpful. If you have any questions about the tutorial, something is not clear, or you could use some advice or help, then please leave a comment down below and I will try to answer your question as good as possible. Also, things you want to see next are welcome in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you for part 3. Bye bye.